Peace and shalom, Israel. Before we start the lesson, hit the notification button because we upload lessons every week and I don't want you to miss a single one of them. Like, comment, subscribe, and if there's a topic you would like for us to cover, we'll see what we can do. So until next time, cue the music. All praises to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And peace to everyone joining us on this program. This is the Fountain of Israel Bible Studies program. And as always, it's an honor for me to stand before you on the Lord's holy Sabbath day. Shabbat Shalom, Israel. We are back. This is the second part of our lesson, Honor the Hoary Head. And really, we're just dealing with honoring our mother and father, having respect for the elderly, understanding that they have value in the community. They have a lot of wisdom that they can give us. And we're going to show you some things in the Bible where, the Lord still used people even in advanced age. And so that we are not to just simply disregard them and ignore them and pay them no attention and things like that. We understand that there's a lot of us health-wise, breaking down. The elderly, they break down and sometimes they're not always coherent and things like that. But you can still honor them. So I know, again, like I said in the last lesson, in part 1, if you have not seen that one, I encourage you to watch part 1 of this particular lesson, Honor the Hoary Head. But we know sometimes we feel as though maybe our parents have wronged us in such a way that, hey, they don't deserve any honor. But see, it's a commandment. It is a commandment that we are to at least honor them. And some people think, oh, well, I don't know, they did this to me, they did that to me, or whatever. It doesn't mean that you have to sit in their face all day. You have to, do all kinds of things like that. No, you don't have to do that. It's just that, just to honor them, just respect their position of who they are as your parent. Respect the fact that, hey, they brought you into this world. And actually, they want what's best for you. They just may not always know what to do in this day and age. Perhaps, maybe just perhaps, they did the best they could with the information that they had at the time. See, none of us, we had an instruction manual on how to raise our kids and what to do, and we deduce the situation, we try to figure it out, and we go from there and we proceed from there. And if anyone had children, you know that, hey, from their perspective, you didn't do anything right. Okay, so you have the same perspective, of your parents. Okay, you have the same perspective. It's just a matter of what the Lord wants us to do. And he said that in Leviticus 19:37. I don't think I started the last lesson with that, but I'm going to go ahead and give you guys 1932 actually. Let me just go there and then I'll get back into our scriptures there. These are some really important ones. Let's go to Leviticus 19. And I did this in the last lesson, but I just want to kick it off with this one more time. Leviticus 19. Because sometimes the Most High asks us to do things that may be difficult. But I only want one verse, 19 and 32 of Leviticus. Verse 32 reads, "Thou shalt arise up before the hoary head and honor the face of the old man and fear thy God, I am the Lord." So it's very, very clear, okay? Very, very clear. You just want to honor them. Now, there's a lot of people that are close to their parents and they take care of their parents, okay? Then there's some of us who are adults who they have to go back to live with their parents, okay? That they're right back in their father's house and stuff. And there are examples of that in the Bible as well, where you have to go back to your family and stuff like that. Now I know we as men, we don't want to necessarily have to do that, but it happens. It's okay, a woman goes back to her father's house, that's okay. But it can be hard and it can be humbling. But honor the hoary head. Honor them, give them honor because they have value. So now we're going to go ahead and get into the meat of our lesson, because we know that there's a lot of information, there's a lot of wisdom, there's a lot of things that the elderly, those who have gone before us, a lot of things that they can tell us. They can show us, they can say, hey, maybe you don't want to try this, maybe you don't want to do that, right? So they have that particular value, but sometimes the younger generation won't listen to the elders. and sometimes it's to our own detriment. But go with me to 1 Kings. Let's go to 1 Kings. Let's take a look at this real quick. I want to point something out here. 1 Kings, and go to chapter 12. As a matter of fact, hold on, I didn't put that there. So, no, you know what? Let me start with Solomon. So 1 Kings, go to chapter 2. 1 Kings chapter 2. Okay, because there's different kings, reigning in succession. So we know that David was righteous, and he lived to a nice, good, right old age. And then Solomon, took over in his stead. And then after Solomon, then the kingdom was broken up, and so we have an idea what's going on. So let's go ahead and catch this real quick. This one is 1 Kings chapter 2, and I'm going to start at verse 4. 1 Kings chapter 2, no, verse 1. Okay, now the days of David drew nigh that he should die. And he charged Solomon his son, saying, I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man. And keep the charge of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, to keep his statutes and his commandments, and his judgments, and his testimony, as it is written in the law of Moses, that thou mayest prosper in all that thou doest. And whithersoever thou turnest thyself, that the Lord may continue his word which he spake concerning me, saying, if thy children take heed to their way, to walk before me in truth with all their heart and with all their soul, there shall not fail thee, said he, a man on the throne of Israel. Okay, so this is David in his old age telling Solomon, look, listen to me, son, listen to me. Okay, I'm old, I'm about to die. I'm telling you, obey the Lord's statutes and commandments, okay? Obey his laws, statutes, and commandments, and he will take care of you. He made a promise to me, and he will fulfill that promise if you do this. Drop down to verse 10, which reads, so David slept with his fathers and was buried in the city of David. And the days that David reigned over Israel were 40 years. 7 years reigned he in Hebron, and 33 years reigned he in Jerusalem. And verse 12, then sat Solomon upon the throne of David his father, and his kingdom was established greatly. And his kingdom was established greatly. Okay, so we can kind of get back to that in a little bit, but I want to just let you know, the Lord uses, it doesn't matter how old. It does not matter. There's wisdom in the hoary head. So now we are in 1 Kings. Now let's go to chapter 12. 1 Kings chapter 12. I wanted to get those two just to kind of start this thing off. So 1 Kings chapter 12. And when we get to chapter 12, I will begin reading it from verse 1 actually. So chapter 12, verse 1. I passed it up. Chapter 12, verse 1. Now, these other kings, I want you guys to check this out. We're talking about Rehoboam and Jeroboam. So, verse 12, verse 1. And Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel will come to Shechem to make him king. And it came to pass when Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who was yet in Egypt, heard of it, for he was fled from the presence of King Solomon, because, when Solomon was alive, and Jeroboam dwelt in Egypt, that they sent and called him. And Jeroboam and all the congregation of Israel came and spake unto Rehoboam, saying, thy father made our yoke. Now listen to the people, okay, the congregation of Israel. Listen to what they said. In verse 4, thy father made our yoke grievous. Now therefore make thou the grievous service of thy father and his heavy yoke which he put upon us lighter, and we will serve you. Look at what the whole congregation is saying. Look, man, if you kind of lighten up, your father was pretty tough on us. If you just lighten up a little bit, we'll serve you. No problem. Okay, verse 5. And he said unto them, depart yet for 3 days, and then come again to me. And the people departed. So he said, look, let me think about it for 3 days. That's basically what he was saying. Verse 6. And King Rehoboam consulted with the old men. Hello, listen. He's talking to the old men, and listen what the old men said. He consulted with the old men that stood before Solomon his father while he yet lived, and said, how do you advise that I may answer this people? So he went to the elders, he went to the old men and said, hey, the congregation came over here. They said to make their burdens lighter and all this other stuff. And it said, the father was kind of hard on them and everything. What should I do? This is what they said in verse 7. And they spake unto him, saying, if thou wilt be a servant unto this people this day, and will serve them, and answer them, and speak good words to them, then they will be thy servants forever. They'll serve. If you lighten up a little bit, they'll serve you forever. Okay, this is what the old men said. But he forsook the counsel of the old men. Nobody want to listen to the elderly. But he forsook the counsel of the old men, which they had given him, and consulted with young men that were grown up with him, and which stood before him. Now listen to look what he did. He didn't want to hear what the old men had to say. They said, man, maybe you want to lighten up, they'll serve you forever. No, he wanted to go to his peer group, the people his own age group, and say, man, look, what should we do? What should I do? What should I do? Let's look at what they said. Verse 9. And he said unto them, what counsel give ye that we may answer this people, who have spoken to me, saying, make the yoke which thy father did put upon us lighter. And we'll look at what the young men said. And the young men that were grown up with him spake unto him, saying, Thus shalt thou speak unto this people that spake unto thee, saying, Thy father made our yoke heavy, but make thou it lighter unto us. Thus shalt thou say unto them, My little finger shall be thicker than my father's loins. So he's saying, look, my little fingers is thicker than my father's thigh. Okay? You thought you had it bad with him. Now watch this. Verse 11. And now, whereas my father did lade you with a heavy yoke, I will add to your yoke. My father has chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. So you had the advice of the elderly, and then you had the advice of the young people. So which advice are you going to follow, right? So chastise you with scorpions. Let's go to 12. So Jeroboam and all the people came to Rehoboam the third day, or 3 days later, as the king had appointed, saying, Come to me again the third day. Come back to me in 3 days. And the king answered the people roughly, and forsook the old men's counsel that they gave him, and spake to them after the counsel of the young men, saying, My father made your yoke heavy, and I will add to your yoke. My father also chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. Wherefore the king hearkened not unto the people, for the cause was from the Lord, that he might perform his saying, which the Lord spake by Adijah the Shelamite unto Jeroboam the sons of Nebat. Okay. So when all Israel saw that the king hearkened not unto them, the people answered the king, saying, What portion have we in David? Neither have we inheritance in the son of Jesse. To your tent, O Israel, now see to thy own house, David. So Israel departed unto their tent. So basically, this is, again, you got to understand, the kingdom is starting to be divided and broke it up. Okay, so they were just talking about, hey, take it easy on us. And he was like, okay, nope, not going to do that. The old man was like, yeah, maybe you ought to take it easy on them, stuff like that. But this only precipitated a divide in Israel. Because, we had southern kingdom and northern kingdom, right? We had both of those. This is where it starts breaking up. Rehoboam, Jeroboam, the kingdoms just start dividing. Okay? But again, it was the counsel of the old, counsel of the young. What are you going to listen to? Now, we do know eventually that it was going to get broken up anyway, okay? He told David, hey, you're going to rule over all Israel. Then he said to Solomon, hey, you're going to rule over all Israel, but after you, the kingdom is going to be divided. It's going to be broken up. So it was going to happen anyway, but I want you to see when it got broken up, okay? And the advice of the old, advice of the young. This was inevitable. This was inevitable, right? So let's go ahead and continue. Let's go on over to Psalm 71. Psalm 71. Psalm 71. When we get to Psalm 71, I will begin to read at verse 8. 71 and 8 reads, Let my mouth be filled with thy praise and with thy honor all the day. Cast me not off in the time of old age. Forsake me not when my strength faileth. So when I'm old and I'm a little feeble, don't forsake me. Verse 10, For my enemies speak against me, and they that lay wait for my soul take counsel together. So they're just waiting for me to die. And they're talking and conspiring against me, saying, God has forsaken him, persecute and take him, for there is none to deliver him. So the Lord ain't going to say, let's take advantage of him. He's weak now. He's old. He's weak. The Lord's not helping him anymore. Let's go get him. We can get him, because no one's going to deliver him or save him from what we want to do, right? And then In verse 12, O God, be not far from me. O my God, make haste for my help. So come and help me, please. Let them be confounded and consumed that are adversaries to my soul. For those who want to kill me, let them be consumed. Let them be covered with reproach and dishonor that seek my hurt. But I will hope continually and will yet praise thee more and more. My mouth shall show forth thy righteousness and thy salvation all the day. For I know not the numbers thereof. I will go in the strength of the Lord God. I will make mention of thy righteousness, even of thine only. O God, thou hast taught me from my youth, and hereto have I declared my thy wondrous work. Now also, when I am old and gray-headed, O God, forsake me not until I have shown thy strength unto this generation and thy power to every one that is to come. So don't forsake me when I get old. See, that's still be with me even then. And even in David's old age. Now also when I am old and gray-headed, O God, forsake me not until I have shown thy strength unto this generation and thy power to everyone that is to come. Now we have to understand, we know David, he fought many wars. Okay? And that he reigned over all Israel. And God promised, hey, you're going to reign over all Israel. Okay? And you're going to have this kingdom. You're going to establish this and you're going to establish that. And God made good on that. And so David wanted to sing the praises of the Lord because he was getting the job done. And even in my old age, I got a lot of enemies. I have a lot of adversaries who wants to come after me, who wants to kill me, who wants my hurt. But you are my refuge, you are my rock. Even in my old age, don't forsake me. Even in my old age, don't forsake me. Let's continue. Go to Exodus chapter 7. Let's go to Exodus chapter 7. Exodus chapter 7. Let's look at this, because I said it doesn't, your age, it doesn't matter. He uses this. Now watch this. Exodus 7:1. And the Lord said unto Moses, See, I have made thee a god to Pharaoh, and Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet. Thou shalt speak all that I command thee, and Aaron thy brother shall speak unto Pharaoh, that he send the children of Israel out of this land. Watch this, guys. And I will hearken Pharaoh's heart and multiply my signs and my wonders, even in the land of Egypt. But Pharaoh shall not hearken unto you. He's telling you what's going to happen. He won't listen to you. That I may lay my hand upon Egypt and bring forth mine enemies and my people, the children of Israel, out of the land of Egypt by great judgments. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord when I stretch forth my hand upon Egypt and bring out the children of Israel from among them. Now watch this, guys. And Moses and Aaron did as the Lord commanded them, so did they. Now watch this in verse 7. And Moses was 80 years old, so he was 80 years old, and Aaron 83 years old when they spake unto Pharaoh. So Moses was 80 and Aaron was 83 years old. There's value in that. He can use you whenever. Honor the hoary head. As it said, and Moses was 80 years old. And Aaron 83 years old when they spake unto Pharaoh. Now you got two old men leading an entire nation out of Egypt. They said they came out a great multitude and with great substance and led them out of Egypt. Two guys in their 80s. What do we value? Now I got two places we want to go. We're going to sit tight a little bit over in Joshua. Go to Joshua chapter 14. Joshua chapter 14. We cannot act as though he can't or won't use us, because he can. And oftentimes he will, even in our old age. Joshua chapter 14 and verse 1 reads this way. And these are the countries which the children of Israel inherited in the land of Canaan, which Eleazar the priest and Joshua the son of Nun and the heads of the fathers of the tribes of the children of Israel distributed for inheritance to them. This is when they start dividing out the land to all the tribes. By lot was their inheritance, as the Lord commanded by the hand of Moses, for the 9 tribes and for the half tribe, okay? Because they're talking about Ephraim and Manasseh and all that. So you guys will see this in a minute. For Moses had given the inheritance of 2 tribes and a half on the other side of Jordan, but unto the Levites he gave none inheritance among them. So no land physical inheritance, but they just resided in all the lands of the other tribes, okay? For the children of Joseph were 2 tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim, okay? Because he said Joseph would get a double portion. So Manasseh and Ephraim, okay? They became tribes themselves. Therefore, they gave no part unto the Levites in the land, save cities to dwell in, with their suburbs for their cattle and for their substance. And the Lord, okay, so that's it there. We're going to skip down. Okay, we're going to skip down. So we know what happened. They start dividing everything. We see what happened with Levi. So drop down to verse 10. And now, behold, the Lord had kept me alive. This is Joshua talking. And he said, these 45 years, even since the Lord spake this word unto Moses, while the children of Israel wandered in the wilderness. And now, lo, I am this day 85 years old. So how old is he? 85 years old. Okay. And yet I am as strong this day as I was in the day that Moses sent me. As my strength was then, even so in my strength is my strength now. For war, both to go out and to come in. You know, Joshua was saying, I'm strong. I'm strong. I got this. I'm old, but I can still do this. I got this, and we're not done. Now watch this. We're still in Joshua, but I want chapter 23. I want chapter 23. Let's do this for a second. Chapter 23. Let's do this. Okay, I'm gonna start at verse 1 in chapter 23. Let's look at something real quick. Okay, he's an old guy, and he's trying to give some words of wisdom to the children of Israel. You've seen what the Lord has done. You've seen how he helped us. You've seen how he kept his word. He's still doing what he said he was going to do. But let me give you a word of advice. You know, when I do die, you guys really need to keep your act together. And if you do, the Lord will help you. He will deliver you. But if you don't, you're going to be in big trouble. And this is an old man talking. Look at it. Verse 1 in Joshua 23, verse 1. It says, and it came to pass a long time after that the Lord had given rest unto Israel, meaning they didn't have a whole lot of fights at this point, from all their enemies round about, that Joshua waxed old and stricken in age. Okay. Way back in chapter 2, we were talking, he was 85 years old. Okay. Now we're over in chapter 23. 14. That was Joshua 14. And we're over in chapter 23 now, verse 2. And Joshua called for all Israel, and for their elders, and for their heads, and for their judges, and for their officers, and said unto them, I am old and stricken in age. And ye have seen all that the Lord your God has done unto all these nations because of you. For the Lord your God is he that has fought for you. So this old man, Joshua, telling them, look, listen, pay attention. Verse 4, behold, I have divided unto you by lot these nations that remain, to be an inheritance for your tribes from Jordan, with all the nations that I have cut off, even unto the great sea westward. And the Lord your God, he shall expel them from before you, and drive them from out of your sight, and ye shall possess their land, as the Lord your God has promised unto you. Be ye therefore very courageous to keep and to do all that is written in the book of the law of Moses, that ye turn not aside therefrom to the right hand or to the left, that ye come not among these nations, these that remain among you, neither make mention of their name of their gods, nor cause to swear by them or make a vow by them, Neither serve them, nor bow yourself unto them. But cleave unto the Lord your God, as ye have done unto this day. For the Lord has driven out from before you great nations and strong. But as for you, no man hath been able to stand before you unto this day, because the Lord was fighting their fights for them. Verse 10, one man of you shall chase 1,000, for the Lord your God, he it is that fighteth for you, and he has promised you. He's telling them all this good stuff. Verse 11, take good heed, therefore, unto yourselves, that ye love the Lord your God. Else, if you do in any wise go back and cleave unto the remnant of these nations, even these that remain among you, and shall make marriages with them, and go in unto them, and they to you, know for a certainty that the Lord your God will no more drive out any of these nations from before you. But they shall be snares and traps unto you, and scourges in your sides, and thorns in your eyes, until ye perish from off this good land which the Lord your God hath given you. And behold, this day I am going the way of all the earth. Listen, he's about to die. And you know in all your hearts and in all your souls that not one thing has failed of all the good things which the Lord your God spake concerning you. All are come to pass unto you, and not one thing has failed therefore. And he's just saying, look, basically everything that the Lord promised, he has fulfilled. You are in this good land. He told you it's going to be good. You're going to have enemies come against you. He's going to fight the fight for you and drive them away. You don't have to worry about it. He's giving you peace. He's kept his word. This is for the words of the old man, right? This is the words of Joshua. He kept his word. He said, keep his law, statutes, and commandments, and he will continue to do for you. Verse 15, therefore it shall come to pass that as all good things are come upon you, which the Lord your God promised you, so shall the Lord bring upon you all evil things, until he has destroyed you from off this good land which the Lord your God has given you. When you have transgressed the covenant of the Lord your God, which he commanded you, and have gone and served other gods, and bowed yourselves to them, then shall the anger of the Lord be kindled against you, and you shall perish quickly from off the good land which he has given unto you. So these are some of the final words, because there's only one more chapter already, and we know that Joshua, died. Okay. So, because if we go over here, as a matter of fact, in the next chapter, which is 24, if you go to 24 and verse 27, go to your next chapter, 24 and 27, and it says in verse 27, and Joshua said to unto all the people, behold, this stone shall be a witness unto us, for it hath heard all the words of the Lord which he spake unto us. It shall be therefore a witness unto you, lest ye deny your God. So Joshua let the people depart, every man unto his inheritance. And it came to pass after these things that Joshua the son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died, being 110 years old. Ripe old age, still leading, still trying to do the service of the Lord until he died. And he said, if you honor, and we're going to get to it, but you have to, when we read in Exodus, 20 and 12, and he said, honor thy father and thy mother, and then you have length of days. And we know Joshua was righteous. Long life. See, that long life, it's a blessing. It's actually a blessing. So he was 110 when he passed. So the Lord has no problem with the aged. He blesses them with the age. Blesses you with that. Genesis 6. Go with me to Genesis chapter 6. Okay, Genesis 6. I'm just going to read the first 3 verses real quick. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the son, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and that they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, now the part that I want to get to you guys real quick is really verse 3. My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. Joshua got 110. So, not bad. Not bad. That you're full of days right there. So my part, what I really wanted to do was get, to verse 3. That's what I wanted to point out. Now you're still in Genesis, but let's go back one. Chapter 5. Okay? Go back one. We're still in Genesis. Now, we're talking about long life, age, the hoary head, gray hairs, things like that. Let's take a look at this. All right? See, this is a book and have certain generations and stuff, and we're talking about aged men. How wise do you think these people may have been? Genesis chapter 5, let's look at verse 1. This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that God created man, in the likeness of God made he him. Male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam. And in the day when they were created. And Adam lived 130 years, and begat a son in his own likeness after his own image, and called his name Seth. Okay, so he called Seth, but Adam lived a little bit longer. Let's look at it. And the days of Adam after he had begotten Seth were 800 years, and he begat sons and daughters. And all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. 930 years, people. And Seth lived 105 years and begot Enos. And Seth lived after he begot Enos 807 years and begat sons and daughters. Imagine the wisdom. And all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. And Enos lived 90 years and begot Canaan. And Enos lived after he begot Canaan 815 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Enos were 905 years. Look at these people, centuries. And he died. And Canaan lived 70 years and begot Mahalalel. And Canaan lived after he begot Mahalalel 840 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. And Mahalalel lived 65 years and begot Jared. And Mahalalel lived after he begot Jared 830 years and begot sons and daughters. So they didn't have kids so early. Some of them are 60 years old before they had their first kid. And all the days of Mahalalel were 895 years, and he died. And Jared lived 162 years and he begot Enoch. Okay, now Jared, he begot Enoch, and they said 162 years. Okay, so we're assuming that's when he had his first child. Okay, and Jared lived after he begot Enoch 800 years and begot sons and daughters, and all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. So we also got to understand that you got to wait till some women kind of come of age and stuff like that. So they had to wait. And Enoch lived 65 years, and he begot Methuselah. And Enoch walked with God after he begot Methuselah 300 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Enoch were 365 years. Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. And Methuselah lived 187 years and begot Lamech. And Methuselah lived after he begot Lamech 782 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Methuselah was 969 years. So he lived the longest. He's like the oldest person to have ever lived. And he died. And Lamech lived 182 years and begot a son. And he called his name Noah, saying, "The same shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands, because of the ground which the Lord has cursed." And Lamech lived after he begot Noah 595 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Lamech was 777 years, and he died. And Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begat Shem, Ham, and Japheth. 500 years old. So we still don't have any respect for the elderly. We still have no use for the elderly. It's because of the elderly, it's because of the age that we even exist, that we're even here. Honor the hoary head. There is value. If we're lucky, we can get to a ripe old age. If we're lucky. But you have to value your youth right now. You have to respect your elders. Honor. It starts with honoring that mother and father. Respect the elders. Show honor. Pay homage. Walk righteously. And you just may get to old age. You just may have that crown that the Bible talks about, that crown of gray hair. You just might have it. It's up to you. Let's continue, shall we? So let's go over to Job 12. There's one verse real quick. Let's go Job 12. And go 2 places over in Job. So first let's go start in 12. So Job chapter 12 and verse 12. So Job 12, he said this: with the ancient is wisdom, and the length of days understanding. That's what it's supposed to be. With the ancient is wisdom, and in the length of days understanding. That's where you get understanding. So I imagine if we go back to these Methuselahs and Lamech and Noah, even Adam, all these people, and we're able to just sit down and have a conversation with people like that. What wisdom could we glean from them? What kind of wisdom could we get from like a Noah? You know why I picked Noah? Because here's a guy who's a man and his sons. Here's a man who lived before the flood, saw the world as it was before the flood, and then he lived after the flood. What if you could have a little conversation on what he saw during that time? What he was thinking, what did he see, how was he feeling? What was that like? Living centuries. These people live centuries. There's no value in that? You don't see any value in that whatsoever? Nothing? There's great value to be had. Great wisdom, great experience, great counsel we can all take advantage of. Question is, will we? I got one more place in Job. Go to chapter 32 in Job. If you can imagine that. Job chapter 32, and I just want to read verse 7. I said, days should speak, and the multitude of years should teach wisdom. Goes the same thing that I'm talking about. The age should have an understanding. There should be a maturity there. There should be some information if we're paying attention. Even in our age right now, if we take our time, pay attention, take inventory of our experiences or whatever, so we can later pass them on. You never know in the future what questions someone may ask you. You never know. And if you had an understanding and you say, you know what? That's a good question. I have an answer for you. Because of experience. Because of wisdom. Let's continue. Now watch this over in Luke. Let's go to the New Testament. We haven't even been there yet. So let's go to the New Testament. He can bless you in your old age. Luke chapter 1. He can bless you in your old age. If we pay attention. Now, of course, we're talking about, Mary, she's all, she's young, doing her thing. But what about our cousin? Okay, what about our cousin Elizabeth? So, Luke chapter 1 and verse 30. Luke chapter 1 verse 30, which reads, and the angel said unto her, fear not, Mary, for thou hast found favor with God. And behold, thou shalt conceive in thy womb and bring forth a son, and shall call his name Jesus. He shall be great, and he shall be called the Son of the Highest, and the Lord God shall give unto him the throne of his father David. And he shall reign over the house of Jacob forever, and of his kingdom there shall be no end. Then said Mary unto the angel, how shall this be, seeing as I know not a man? And the angel answered and said unto him, the Holy Ghost shall come upon thee, and the power of the highest shall overshadow thee. Therefore also the holy thing which shall be born of thee shall be called the Son of God. And behold, thy cousin Elizabeth, hello, she has also conceived a son in her what? Old age. And this is the 6th month which with her who was called barren. Okay, she is 6. She's saying, look, you're about to get pregnant. And Elizabeth, your cousin, in her old age, she's already pregnant, and she's been pregnant for 6 months. Okay, now we're talking about John the Baptist, right? So he's that forerunner. And she was called barren. They said she couldn't have one, but in her old age, it said, and she has conceived a son in her old age, and this is the 6th month with her, who was called barren. For with God nothing shall be impossible. And Mary said, behold, the handmaid of the Lord, be it unto me according to thy word. And the angel departed from her. And Mary arose in those days and went into the hill country with haste into the city of Judah, and entered into the house of Zechariah and saluted who? Elizabeth. She went over there, and Elizabeth, I heard, hey, listen, cousin, I heard you're pregnant. I heard you're 6 months pregnant. The angel of the Lord came, told me about it. Wow, look at that. But she did this. She got blessed with it in her old age. See, back then, being barren wasn't a good thing. You know, people felt like they were cursed. They felt like, oh, you know, I can't have a baby. I mean, that was one of the reasons you get a lot of sensitive people out there. Like, as soon as you say that, they'll be like, oh, the only thing is they're supposed to have babies. No, that's not the only thing, but that's one of the things. Have a baby. So if you couldn't have a baby, you felt useless. So in her old age, Elizabeth got blessed with pregnancy. Then she gave birth to John the Baptist. Doesn't matter. Male, female, he can use you. It doesn't matter. Bless that old age. Isaiah 46. Isaiah 46. And I just want a couple of verses. Isaiah 46. And let me get verses 3 and 4. Hearken unto me, O house of Jacob, and all the remnant of the house of Israel, which are born by me from the belly, which are carried from the womb. Who else is he talking to? Verse 4. And even to your old age I am he, and even to hoary hairs will I carry you. To gray hairs, even unto gray hairs will I carry you. I have made and I will bear. Even I will carry and will deliver you. Doesn't matter. You get old. He doesn't just cast you out. It doesn't matter. Even unto the gray head. I'm the one who I bared you then. I'll bear you now. You need delivering. I'll deliver you. Even unto the hoary head. Respect your elders. Psalm 71. Let's go to Psalm 71. And then we'll start to try to wind down a little bit. Psalm 71. Get a couple of places. I'll pick up the pace a little bit and start closing this out. Psalm 71, and I'm going to start at verse 9. 71 and 9, which reads, Cast me not off in the time of old age. Forsake me not when my strength faileth. This is David. Okay, it's a Psalm of David. For my enemies speak against me, and that they lay in wait for my soul. Take counsel together. So we had read that part right there, but I want to get down to verse 18. Now, also, when I am old and gray-headed, O God, forsake me not, until I have shown my strength unto the generations, and thy power to everyone that is to come. And so I just want you to remember that. But we're still in Psalm. I just want you to remember that while we go to Psalm 73. Go to Psalm 73, and we'll pick it up at verse 20. 73 and 20 reads, As a dream when one awaketh, so, O Lord, when thou awakest, thou shalt despise their image. Thus my heart was grieved, and I was pricked in my reins. So foolish was I, and ignorant. I was as a beast before thee. I was young, I was stupid, I didn't know anything. Nevertheless, I am continually with thee. Thou hast holden me by thy right hand. Thou hast guided me with thy counsel, and afterwards received me to glory. Listen. Whom have I in heaven but thee? And there is none upon earth that I desire beside thee. My flesh and my heart faileth. Okay, my body, I'm getting old. My flesh and my heart faileth. But God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. But God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. My flesh and my heart faileth, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. So even when we get old, even when we age, He's still our strength. He's still our portion. He is still that refuge. Still being used, still being protected. All you have to do, continue to serve. Now let's go ahead and get these last couple of places here and start wrapping it up. 1 Chronicles 29. 1 Chronicles chapter 29. First Chronicle chapter 29, and I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to pick it up at verse 20. 29:20. And David said to all the congregation, now bless the Lord your God. And all the congregation blessed the Lord God of their fathers and bowed down their heads and worshiped the Lord and the king. And they sacrificed sacrifices unto the Lord and offered burnt offerings unto the Lord. And on the morrow after that day, even 1,000 bullock, 1,000 rams, 1,000 lambs with their drink offerings and sacrifices in abundance for all Israel. And did eat and drink before the Lord on that day with great gladness. And they made Solomon the son of David king the second time, and anointed him unto the Lord to be the chief governor, and Zadok to be priest. Then Solomon sat on the throne of his father, the throne of the Lord as king instead of his father, and prospered, and all Israel obeyed him. And all the princes and the mighty men and all the sons likewise of David submitted themselves unto Solomon. In verse 25, and the Lord magnified Solomon exceedingly in the sight of all Israel, and bestowed upon him such royal majesty as had not been on any king before him in Israel. Thus David, the son of Jesse, reigned over all Israel. And the time that he reigned over Israel was 40 years. 7 years he reigned in Hebron, and 30 and 3 years reigned he in Jerusalem. And he died in a good old age, full of years, riches, and honor. And Solomon, his son, reigned in his stead. That's what I wanted to show. He good old age, full of years, full of days, and honor. So it was complete honor. First Kings. We're going to wrap this up. First Kings, because they do have parallel stories. But we're going to go to chapter 3. First Kings chapter 3. Okay, First Kings chapter 3, and I want to start at verse 3. And Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of David his father. Only he sacrificed and burnt incense in high places. And the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was a great high place. 1,000 burnt offerings did Solomon offer upon that altar. And in Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and God said, ask what I shall give thee. And Solomon said, thou hast showed unto thy servant David, my father, great mercy, according as he walked before thee in truth and in righteousness and in uprightness of heart with thee. And thou hast kept for him this great kindness, that thou hast given him a son to sit on his throne, as it is this day. And now, O Lord my God, hast thou made thy servant king instead of David my father. I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or come in. And thy servant is in the midst of thy people, which thou hast chosen, a great people that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. So he's saying that is a whole lot. So if you drop down to verse 10, he said, and the speech pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this thing. So he asked that thing, and guess what? He got all the more, because he asked, how can I govern these people? So we're going to drop down. Verse 12, behold, I have done according to thy words. Lo, in verse 12, I have given thee a wise and understanding heart, so that there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any arise like unto thee. And I have, now watch this, and I have also given thee that which thou hast not asked, both riches and honor, so that there not be any among the kings like unto thee all thy days. And if thou wilt walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments, as thy father David did walk, what he say he's going to give you, then I will lengthen thy days. So having a long life is not a bad thing. Having a long life, having many days, many years is not a bad thing. Okay, not a terrible thing. Let's go take a look over in Zechariah 8 and finish up this, what we're doing here. Finish up this letter. Zechariah chapter 8. Zechariah chapter 8. Start to close out a little bit. And I'm going to read the first 4 verses. 8:1. Again, the word of the Lord of hosts came unto me, saying, Thus said the Lord of hosts, I was jealous for Zion with a great jealousy, and I was jealous for her with great fury. Thus said the Lord, I am returned unto Zion, and will dwell in the midst of Jerusalem, and Jerusalem shall be called a city of truth. Now watch this. Watch the people who are going to be there. And the mountain of the Lord of hosts, the holy mountain. Thus said the Lord of hosts, there shall yet old men and old women dwell in the streets of Jerusalem, and every man with his staff in his hand for very age. Okay, for very age. And then he goes on, and the streets of the city shall be full of boys and girls playing in the streets thereof and all that. So he's just telling you how it's going to be. Okay, now of course this is when he gets back, millennial reign and all that stuff. Okay, because there's still going to be children being born and stuff like that. But won't die. You have the aged people. Okay, aged people, that wisdom, that honor, that glory. 2 Timothy, let's go to our last two spots. 2 Timothy. Let's go to our last two spots. And going to be chapter 4. Let's read 7 and 8. 2 Timothy chapter 4, 7 and 8. This is at the end of his life. I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. Henceforth, there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, shall give me at that day. And not to me only, but unto all them also that love his appearance. So, brothers and sisters, we have to understand this is not a sprint. There's not a sprint to old age. This is a marathon. And you and I, we better be picking up some wisdom along the way. So now, let's close out with our very last spot we're going to go to, which is back to 2 Chronicles. Let's go to chapter 24, and then we are done. So 2 Chronicles chapter 24, and then we will close it out. All right. 2 Chronicles chapter 24, I'm going to pick it up at verse 1, which reads, Joash was 7 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name also was Zibiah of Beersheba. And Joash did that which was right in the sight of the Lord all the days of Jehoiada the priest. And Jehoiada took for him 2 wives, and he begat sons and daughters. Okay, so it's a king, a righteous priest. Okay, verse 4. And it came to pass after this that Joash was minded to repair the house of the Lord. Again, trying to do that which is right. Okay, so he wanted to repair the house of the Lord. And he gathered together the priests and the Levites and said to them, Go out unto the cities of Judah and gather of all Israel money to repair the house of your God from year to year, and see that ye hasten the matter. So hurry up, go collect money so we can repair this. Albeit the Levites hastened it not. Okay, so they didn't make a big deal. And the king called for Jehoiada the chief and said unto him, Why hast thou not required of the Levites to bring in out of Judah and out of Jerusalem the collection according to the commandment of Moses, the servant of the Lord, and of the congregation of Israel, for the tabernacle of witness? For the sons of Athaliah, that wicked woman, has broken up the house of God, and also all the dedicated things of the house of the Lord. Lord, did they bestow upon Baalim. And at the king's commandment, they made a chest and set it without at the gate of the house of Jerusalem. So this is where they're going to collect the money. And they made a proclamation through Judah and Jerusalem to bring in to the Lord the collection that Moses, the servant of God, laid upon Israel in the wilderness. And all the princes and all the people rejoiced and brought in and cast into the chest until they had made an end. Now it came to pass that at what time the chest was brought into the king's office by the hand of the Levites, and they saw that there was much money, the king's scribe and the high priest officers came and emptied the chest, and took it and carried it to his place again. Thus they did day by day, and gathered money in abundance. And the king and Jehoiada gave it to such as did the work of the service of the house of the Lord, and hired masons and carpenters to repair the house of the Lord, and also such as wrought iron and brass to mend the house of the Lord. So the workmen wrought the work, was perfected by them, and they set the house of the Lord in its state and strengthened it. Now watch it. Now watch this in 14. And when they had finished it, they brought the rest of the money before the king of Jehoiada, whereof were made vessels of the house of the Lord, even vessels to minister and to offer withal, the spoons and vessels of gold and silver. And they offer burnt offerings in the house of the Lord continually all the days of Jehoiada. Now, 15. But Jehoiada waxed old and was full of days when he died. 130 years old was he when he died. Jehoiada, 130 years old. Again, he keeps using people of age all the time. This is why I'm telling you, this is why this whole lesson is honor the hoary head, okay? Pay homage to that. There is some wisdom out there. How many wise people, men and women out there who have actually gone through something, who have actually done something in their life? Who are out there doing the things that you want to do? What about a person who's ahead of you, doing something that you actually want to do? You think you can learn something from them? Can you learn something from a guy who's been doing it for years and you're trying to figure it out? You're trying to do it. Many people are trying to come out of her my people, and they're starting to go off and buy land and want to do some homesteading and stuff. How much can you learn from someone who's been homesteading for 10, 20, 30 years? Guess what they can tell you? Everything they done wrong and everything they done right. Honor the hoary head. There's value in there. There's wisdom. There's counsel. What kind of premium do you put on that? That's for you and I. It's to our advantage. Humble yourself and go get that wealth of knowledge that a council of hoary-headed elders can give you. Thank you for joining. This has been Honor the Hoary Head, part 1 and 2. I hope anybody out there has gotten something from it. So until next time, search the scriptures and prove all things. Shalom, Israel.